Thanks for stopping by to watch our video today. In today's video, we're going to go over how to import daily fuel transactions from 6 of the popular fuel vendors into Dr. Dispatch. And you can also bring in your cash. The driver gets off the card and charge that to him in payroll. And if he's an owner-op, you can charge the fuel and advances to him, and eliminates more steps you don't have to do yourself. Okay, step 1. Let's make sure we have a desktop folder or a network folder where you can keep these fuel files and we know where to import from and so on and so forth. Now I just do a right click, new folder, and take it on your desktop, call it whatever you want, hit enter. I've already got one here, and I've got several actually. And once you have that done, come back to Dr. Dispatch, open the IFTA program here, and you should have a button here to import the fuel purchases. If not, contact sales@drdispatch.com and we'll get that handled for you. It is an optional module, or has been in the past, and depends on what your license is set for. Push the button and you'll get your options to choose any of the 6 vendors here, open the files from the folder we created, and import them. Before we do that, let's take a second and go into setup. And let's browse and make sure that folder that you created to save these files in is in the browse path here, so we can get those imported and you don't have to browse each time. I will say this, you do need to contact whoever your fuel vendor is and tell them that you're going to need to get daily fuel files for these imports. This is not a report. This is a data file, so don't let them set you up with reports. We need a data file. They're called Type 49 files. They're called COM data files. Data files, you'll have to do a little back and forth with them to get them, but it was the only format we were given is these files, and is what everybody uses. Once you browse to this, you'll be set up and ready to do the import of the fuel. Now, we'll take a minute to mention you can go with ComData or EFS and contact them, have them set up an FTP account for you. And if they do that, then they'll give you an account name, password, and a path where to get to that on the internet, and it'll be able to automatically grab those files by date, just simply right off the internet. You won't have to download anything into folders or anything at all. Once you get your path to the storage folder, hit finished, press your import fuel. We're going to use Fleet 1 to test here. There again, they're all the same actually in the way the data files are formatted. We'll mention again EFS or ComData. If you use the FTP choice, you can pick just a date, download the files, and they're done and ready to import. There again, we're keeping it simple today with the Fleet 1 import. I don't have a fuel FTP account with anybody to show you with this, so we're just going to use the files. So check any one of them. Even if you have this, it's still fine. You can download or open the file over here. So choose them, hit the open file, choose the file with today's date, yesterday's date, whatever you're wanting to import, and I'm going to select this one, and you'll be able to bring it in. I want to take a minute here to mention that anything that's imported can be charged to the driver, all of it, or maybe just the cash advance. So in the case of this, I'm just going to choose the cash advance, because a lot of people do this. Caution number 2, you have to have the fuel card number that's in the files assigned to a driver, 1 card per driver. This is how we find the driver so we can charge the money to his payroll as an advance. Go to your drivers tab. We're using Mr. Griswold today. Double click and make sure the fuel cards are assigned to each driver properly. Save it. Now, you don't have to do this at all if you're not going to check anything over here. If you're just going to bring the fuel in for IFTA, check no boxes to charge the driver at all, you don't have to set up a fuel card at all. Doesn't matter. But in our case, we are. As an example, I want to show the cash advance to the driver. We have 2 fuel purchases and a cash advance. Everything looks good. You should tell your fuel people to require pro numbers, unit numbers, etc. on the fuel purchases. They can do that. So when you get your data, you'll have a proper pro number and make sure the unit number's right. That way when you try to relate a load to a date to find the fuel for it, you got the pro number. So at any rate, we've got the fuel, we've got the check mark for the cash. We're going to simply save this batch right now, and it's all done. Now, notice the date's old on this. This is 6 of 14. And once it's done, you get a nice report, totals of stuff at the bottom that you imported, ready for the next import. You have the ability to delete the file or keep it, your preference. Deleting it surely keeps you from importing it more than once, but your preference there. I'm keeping them. I reuse them. You have a fuel import history. Every batch is imported. Remember, this is today's. It was from 6 of 14. It's all here. Your totals for all transactions are at the bottom. You can filter these by a date range to look for things on a certain date or dates if you want to audit yourself or check something. And on the fuel, this is where the import goes to down here at the bottom. The show all, it shows you all the fuel. You can group this stuff by date, by state, and get in here and find what you need to find. If you need to audit your work, find a discrepancy somewhere, whatever the case may be, drag these back down. You also can do all the same data and restrict it by a date range and filter it. Totally flexible. It's simple to find anything, any information you need. It can all be exported to Excel if you need to look at stuff even deeper. And that's all there is to it. You have your mileages will need to go in via Pro Miles or PC Mile or manually entered, one of the three searches by date range, and get data. Will give you your fuel miles, your miles per gallon, and all your IFTA data. Let's go take a minute to look at the $100 advance we had on that fuel card, remember? We'll go to dispatch here, and quickest way is just to driver advance. We'll look up Mr. Griswold here. Now there's several of these in here because I've been playing with this and doing videos and tutorials. But this is the $100 cash advance from the fuel card. You might notice by the date. Puts it into his payroll automatically. So when you go to do payroll and choose up Mr. Griswold here and go to look at, now I have no load, but I have these advances already in here. You won't miss charging your driver back a dime. And remember, if they're owner ops, you'll have all the fuel purchases entirely in here to recoup your money back. Easy thing to do, piece of cake. If you have any questions, contact us. Thanks again for stopping by. Have a good day.